Welcome back to the vlog, friends. How are y'all doing? I don't have no vlog today, so I thought maybe we could talk to keep the consistency going while I make a quick run to Starbucks for no other reason than just to be outside. Okay. So I've been meaning to talk to you guys just about hold on. No one here? Woo. Son. Ooh, I mean son. Hold on there. Ooh. So turn down this thing here so that we could have a talk. All right. So I wanted to just do like a quick little chit chat with y'all about what's been going on with immigration, right? Like, I know I don't talk to you guys much about it anymore, but it's been a lot, and I thought, you know, so many of us connected over that journey, we should be able to at least from time to time talk about it. So let's first talk about where things are at and where things seem to be going. Earlier this year, they announced that they were going to cut immigration to 7.5% or something, somewhere around there. And then most recently, another cut to 5%. Right? Let's speak openly and honestly about where we are. Anybody could have seen it coming from a mile away. A year ago, 2 years ago, it was coming from a mile away. And I say this to say that anybody who is looking to do any sort of immigration, you have to keep up with what's happening in the news. You have to sort of try as best as you can, right, to keep a pulse on what's going on. And the signs were there. The signs were there that they needed people, and they allowed people to come, and then, you know, it's in my opinion, it get way. You understand? They're not only that, a significant portion of it is scamming and people not being honest and going through the system the way they should. And by that, I'm not talking about people making use of pathways that exist to their advantage. I'm talking about people lying, scamming. Do you understand all that? If you were paying attention any at all, especially for people in Canada, if you were paying attention any at all, you knew it was coming. Because number one, the first thing that you should never do is count on an immigration pathway still being available to you while you pursue it, right? The only time, right, you can realistically assume that you are safe from immigration rules changing is if you've already submitted your application. And that is, and even then it's still not foolproof until you're approved and the process is done. Because what happens if you get refused, right? The next application you submit will then be subjected to whatever changes that were made at that time. And so I say that to say, I feel like a lot of people played the long game and lost. I feel like a lot of people played the long game and it worked out. I also feel like a lot of people played the long game and have either run out of options or are running out of options. So back to what I was saying, it was that you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention to what's going on. The signs were there, the markings were on the wall. For me, the biggest red flag was a couple of months ago. Maybe it's probably even more than a year. I don't remember when he said it, but I remember the immigration minister being on the news during a press conference when he was making an announcement, say we have X amount of people, X amount of temporary residents in Canada, and everyone will not get to stay. Everyone is not going to get PR. Yes, so from that, my antenna go up. At that time, I was one of those people. And me tell us say, all right there, so I had a good little amount of time left on my work permit at that time, but me did still feel it to my core. Cause me I say, watch signal. When people talk, you have to listen, especially when it comes to that kind of thing. And then the thing I noticed also was that because of how things were progressing with immigration, they're not giving anybody no chance to fix anything, bro. The changes announced today, it take effect tomorrow. Or even if that's not the case, usually it's such a short period that the majority of people who don't have them ducks in a row don't stand a chance, right? And so from the time the man open up his mouth and say to us all that everybody not gonna make it, is when I felt pressure. I mean, everybody not gonna look upon it that way, but me think when people talk, you must listen. My head tough, but it's not so tough. And so, you know, as I saw it coming, you can feel that there has been a palpable shift in the tolerance for immigrants, specifically a certain type of immigrants, but nonetheless, I feel like there's, you know, a shift in the tolerance for immigrants. Even problems that are not immigrants' faults are no immigrants' faults, because they need somebody to blame, right? And we're gonna be easy targets. They say the most ridiculous things. I've heard, oh, you know, government pay no much money to come live here and to come here. I'm like, which immigrants? Which immigrants? Because if you're talking about those people who received humanitarian benefits, they're humanitarian benefits. But what that have to do with me and the people them who spend up them life savings to come here to study or to even just move? Government what? And so the shift has been coming for a while. It's been coming for a while, and I don't know how people can realistically pretend that they didn't see it coming. Like, baby, the signs were there. Housing stay away, people paying for LMIAs, like what? And then immigration drop. Why are people coming here to study? This is specifically for, you know, the people who use the study route, like myself. They say things like, well, you came here to study, now you go back home. No. And let's be clear. and fair, right? It was marketed by your government, the Canadian government, which is now our government, as a realistic pathway. They said, spend your money here and stay. Now, obviously, they never tell us to stay illegally or whatever, but let's not act like that's not the way it was marketed. The amount of money international students spend on tuition compared to what domestic students pay. I also don't know how people can pretend that they did not see that when you cut off this money, because that is what temporary residents are to Canada. We're money. You know, we pay a lot to be here. And how are you going to then pretend that you don't see that once you cut off that supply, things aren't just going to be bad for us immigrants, it's also going to be bad for you Canadians. Because you're going to have to pay more for your studies now. Okay? You're going to have to pay. You're going to lose your jobs. These universities that are so administratively heavy are jobs for you. Those are going to go away with the money and the students. But, you know, people pretend that they don't say that. But, you know, let's not get political. But people want to pretend that it's, you know, it's black and white. All the time it's black and white. And it's not. It's really not. And so now we're in a situation where a lot of people's permits are expiring. And they're out of options, or they don't have many options. The draws are looking crazy. They're also looking crazy targeted. And so a lot of people who maybe, you know, uprooted their whole lives, they had maybe house, car, and whatever back home, or at the very minimum was at certain points along in their careers that chose to, you know, better themselves and take the chance and the opportunity, and no, the door doesn't shut, blam. A year ago, 2 years ago, I was telling some people that, listen, when you immigrate, it's a very personal thing, and it'll be about what you want, why you're here, things like that. I'm gonna say no, big up Uno. But how, like, to me, if your goal is to get permanent residence, like, why aren't you going after the path that gives you that the fastest? And that's what I don't understand. I feel like a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm going after a 3-year permit and da. And crazily enough, people are still doing it. Right? And so people don't want to move, or, you know, they want, I don't know what to say people are looking for, but I just feel like people never plan good. People still not plan good, and it rough. I wish, as an immigrant myself, as an international student myself, I wish that there could be, I truly wish that there could be some grace for at least people who are already here, people who have lived here for some time and things like that. But boy, 5%, considering how many of us are already here, woof, stress would not kill me, man, I tell no lie. So let's talk to the people who are making plans to still come, because there are still people who are still, you know, it still makes sense, like they're within those categories that they're drawing and things like that. So it still makes sense for them to try and to do it. It still makes sense for them to do it. So here's my 2 cents. Here's my advice. you should have plans. Like I've already said this, like I've said this to you guys, but I think you should have plan A, plan B, and plan C before you left your yard. And even then, right, there's no guarantee that it's gonna work out, but before you left your yard, have plan A, plan B, plan C. Everything, the program where you study, the place where you're studying it, all of that should be strategic. And not strategic, it's not enough to be strategic to get yourself in Canada. It needs to be all the way through. You need to have all the tactics laid out. This is what I'm gonna do, this is what I'm gonna study, this, that. And as best as you can, if you're planning to move to Canada to study something, it is my advice. Me no immigration liar, me not give nobody immigration advice, but here's what I'm gonna suggest. Right? Go somewhere where your path to permanent residence begins before you're done study. Yes, we all know, so the goal is to get a PGWP when you're done, but this is all I've got for you. This is my one tip, my one piece of advice. Go somewhere, study something that opens you up to the path to permanent residence long before you graduate, and try to pursue it that way, because in my opinion, where I am is it was one of the easier places. I don't even want to say it was one of the easier places, but for people who were here, it was easier compared to Ontario per se. Because I remember when I was in Ontario, like I could have qualified for Ontario, but this time I'm not gonna stay there for that fight. Right? Like I was applying for jobs everywhere. I applied for jobs in Saskatchewan, I applied for jobs in Alberta, I applied for jobs even in BC. I applied for jobs in what a place name, Ottawa. You know what I mean? I was looking at some places like Sudbury, so like the smaller, cause you know me, like my little chill vibe and whatever. Places like those I did, but at the end of the day, master boy, why me must join the rat race? You understand? Like I have goals, and all this is gonna do it, like everybody I fight for the same piece of cheese. All around them I fight for the same piece of cheese, and I'm just like, bro. And a couple of weeks ago, I remember that someone sent me the immigration for Saskatchewan websites, and the people them just choke it off. They immediately said, we're not sending any more letters. Right? The job approval letter, which is like a really important letter that you need to accompany your application for nomination based on a category you're applying for. And the people them just choke it off right there, so point blank period. We're not out no more, we're freezing, we're overhaul, and then we'll come back a few weeks later and say if you never study in a Saskatchewan, don't apply here. Baby, the way all me would have just left in the cool, God is good. Right on time. Yeah? Right on time, because imagine you move and you at work and you already know forget your papers in line, and the people them say, hey, you never study here, now you have to go. Baby, it's rough still for those of you who are still planning on coming. I mean, just my advice will always be to be research. Look, see if it makes sense. It makes sense to me, but again, people there longer than me and it don't make sense to them. There's people here who, you know, there and them turn citizen and whatever, and it still don't make sense for them. Like they don't like it. They didn't find what they were looking for, and so they wanted to go back home. That's okay. That's okay too. Me find what me I look for. And I just wanted to encourage somebody that there are those of us who find what we look for here. I'm one of them. I'm just gonna say that. But it really messed up. But all good things must come to an end, so them say. And if you're planning to make the move, just be careful. Pray to God or whatever deity it is that you believe in. Pray, ask for guidance, or back it up with research, and plan out your thing, and see if you can make life, or see if you can make it work. But I mean, if you're at home too and you're comfortable, sometimes I don't know if it makes sense for give up everything we work for, right? Because remember, say when it don't work out and you go back home, is our next give up everything you work for. You understand? A lot of people say, oh, if it not work out for your friend, just come back home, and that's so it go. People have, if you've been in a place for you know what it take for move, but oh, listen, I was one of those people, like, for my entirety of my adulthood, I was careful about how I lived my life. Me never buy no whole heap of furniture and all of them kind of something, because I always knew that I wanted to move and I didn't want to have a lot to have to get rid of, right? And it was, at the end of the day, we still have to live a life, so it was still things to get rid of, and it's still giving up your life to start anew. And if that don't work out, no matter how you have better, it would still be giving up your life again to start anew, to go back home. So I don't think the argument that, oh, if it just let's go back home, I don't think that's fair. Give grace, you know, give people a little bit of grace. And remember, say, adulting did not come with a manual for any of us. We're doing the best that we can. Sometimes it works and sometimes it don't work. But as far as immigration is concerned, be safe, be blessed, be informed, and walk accordingly. And remember, say, it is what it is. I hope you guys make your way, and you know what, other places there, if you really want to immigrate, I don't know what's going on in other places, you know, maybe you can try Australia, maybe you can try the UK, I don't know. But me just say, right? Me just say, I go get the liquor. Oh, I was going to tell you guys that see, all the place did hot last week. It is really, really hot. This week it come back down. So like today is 16. It's not that bad today. It's 16. And while that is fine, yes it is. It's when it hot, me can't deal. Yeah, me complain or whatever, but me can't deal. It's when it cold, me can't deal. Me complain or whatever, but me can't deal. It's when I do this, hot cold, brother, I'm in pain. My face is over there, yeah, them refuse to come outside because the outside be outside in. And even right now, the glass is sitting on my right here, so I cause me problem. But anyway, I'm gonna get me a Starbucks drink. I wonder if I should go to the drive-thru. No, I do want to come outside. So that's what I'm gonna do. Thank you for chit-chatting with me, guys. I will see you all sometime soon. Bye.